Good evening to you all, good evening. Today it's the 19th of March 2020, St Joseph's Day, and here in the Guild of St Eloi Model Railway Club we do take notice of such things. St Joseph, oh boy, he'd have been a lovely chap to have around building baseboards for model railways, carpenter, smashing chap. However, that's not really what I came here to talk about tonight. We are living in some very, very strange times, and just to give you an idea of what happened to me today, being Thursday, we have a market in Mézières-en-Brenne. Very good market. You can buy fish, vegetables, bread, meat, chickens, eggs, honey, all sorts of good stuff. And it is my habit to shoot over there on a Thursday morning and buy stuff. Yeah. At the moment, the regulation in France insists that you stay indoors unless you've got a good reason not to. And you need a sheet of paper which details why you're not indoors. All very reasonable reasons, including going to buy food that you can't buy in your own town. So this morning, bright as a button, the weather was gorgeous. I drove over to Mézières. I bought some fish and some Brussels sprouts and a leek and some bananas and one or two other bits and pieces, and then I came back full of the joys of spring. When I got to the roundabout at the end of town, there were two police officers with their little camionette, their little wagon thing, and they were stopping everybody. And they were very pleasant and very polite, and they asked me if I'd got my piece of paper, which I had. They asked me where I live, and I told them, and they asked me where I'd been, and I told them, and they asked me why I'd been there, and they were very sympathetic and very understanding about it all. But that's the first time in a lot of years that I've spoken to a police officer. As such, I've spoken to police officers in the queue in the shops and when they're buying petrol for their little wagon and things like that. But this was the first time that I've had what we might think of as an official interaction. There was no problem. He smiled, he waved me on my way, and that was that. And this is related to the regulations that have been brought into force here, restricting movement to reduce the spread of coronavirus. In England today there are no such restrictions in place, but it would seem likely that something similar will be planned. It will be difficult with the police numbers that were cut continuously under the current administration. But there we are. That was that. Today I've been digging the garden. It's a little bit heavy at the moment. It needs to dry out another day, I think, but I need to get the potatoes planted. I planted 2 rows, but I've got lots more to do. But tonight is a Model Railway Club meeting night. There are difficulties throughout the world. A lot of model railway clubs in England, the United Kingdom, are restricting their activities. Very sensibly, a lot of the people that go to model railway clubs do fit into the at-risk groups. So it's a very sensible but very sad development. So here, in the virtual Model Railway Club of the Guild of St Eloi, we're going to carry on as if nothing happened. Easy for me. because I'm the only person that ever gets here. How many of you are members of model railway clubs? I don't know. I know some of you are, and some of you are modellers who've never joined a club, or you've joined and left and such likes. But clubs are very, very important. Clubs and groups, not necessarily clubs. I'm one of those awkward characters that doesn't like being in a club. Clubs always seem to go with majorities, and I never seem to be part of the majority. Never mind, that's life. I get used to it. But I am still, I guess, affiliated with St Mary's Model Railway Club. Lovely little club, group of very good friends who do some lovely stuff. The club itself didn't start really as a model railway club. It started with the intention of raising some funds towards the restoration of St Mary the Virgin Church in Benfleet. They raised a lot of money at an exhibition, and a lot of people said, "Oh, what club are you?" And there was that sort of embarrassed silence, because of course they weren't a club. They were a group of people who came together for an event out of which a club grew. And every year they hold an exhibition, more of which in a moment. Lovely club. Anyway, I've moved too far away to go there, and I've got some sort of permission to not go to their meetings anymore. I don't think they mind. But those of you that are members of model railway clubs will know that there's generally a sort of pattern that the club follows. And in these strange times where we're all stuck indoors and we're not allowed to go to club meetings and all those good things, I think we ought to try to still hang on to a semblance of the structures that we like, that we enjoy. I guess most clubs start their meetings with people arriving and people talking about what they've been up to since the last club meeting, and have you seen the latest release from Hornby or Barkman or whatever, and will you be going to so-and-so's exhibition, or have you heard from the chap that was making the buildings? We all do those things. And then perhaps after a cup of tea has been made, that is very much a St Mary's Model Railway Club thing. Nothing happens until everyone's got a mug of tea in their hand. Very important. Somebody will call the meeting to some sort of semblance of order. Now, most clubs will call that person the chairman. I am the chairman of the Guild of St Eloi. I was elected at the general meeting, at which only I attended. So if you didn't vote for me, well, hard luck, I am the chairman. And chairmen tend to report on where the club's at with its membership, its affiliation to various other societies, so on and so forth. And sometimes the chairman will say, "I've received some correspondence." I shan't name the gentleman who sent this to me, but I will refer to him as a gentleman. Not everybody does, by the way. But yes, a letter from a gentleman. And he makes an accusation. Incidentally, he used proper club-headed notepaper with a lithograph of St Eloi in his workshop. I must tell him how to spell the name of the town we live in. There's two R's in it. Dear sir, it has come to our attention that you are operating models of a BR Standard Class 4 without displaying proper photographic evidence of their existence. Therefore, you will find with this note a postcard corroborating the actual existence of said locomotive. Please display appropriately. Well, who am I to argue? The aforementioned gentleman has sent me a rather lovely picture. So it's a postcard from the Severn Valley Railway of British Railway Standard Class 4 264 tank 80,079, which of course was built in Brighton in 1954. Yes, this is true. I do run locomotives like that. I think it's one of the most attractive engines that was ever created. I'm biased. I've seen them working, I've ridden behind them. Hornby 00 made a wonderful, wonderful model of it. He then submits a suggestion. Now, this suggestion I think we better put to the membership of the club. He's sent me a design suitable for a new station building. I better move this in a bit close. Apparently that is the sort of station building that we need. I'll take that under advisement if later this evening, if the station building committee will meet me while other people are doing other things, we'll discuss that further. Unfortunately, in this apologies for absence, which we will at this stage accept, this gentleman would have a problem being here. He's currently about 500 miles that way, and I don't think the French would let him in, to be honest. They would probably read his passport, and then in a very Gallic sort of way they would probably say, not sure about this one, Alphonse, what do you think, Francois? No, no, no. He's a troublemaker. No. He's a gentleman. The sad news is that he brings to my notice, the notice of the Guild of St Eloi, that the St Mary's Model Railway Club exhibition, which was going to be the 28th of March, is going to be postponed. I've said it to other people about other clubs that have closed and postponed activities. It is wise. It's sad, very sad, but it is wise. So it's not a plug for an exhibition, it's just an announcement that an exhibition will not be taking place on the date that we hoped it would be. So there we are, that's the correspondence dealt with. Normally you would ask the secretary if there's any other correspondence, if the council sent the demand for rent and all of those sorts of things, but the secretary isn't here tonight, so we'll skip over that, and the treasurer isn't here tonight either. Anyway, most clubs, after all of that sort of nonsense, and most clubs will have a collection for the tea or whatever, and then you tend to get on with the things that you want to be doing here, which tonight involves, I don't know, we might run a train or two, we might look at doing some scenic work. Some of us might just drink tea. There are things that Hornby made that I find very, very interesting, and some of these things came to me, some as gifts, some as stuff in the bottom of boxes that I acquired, and they made a complete model railway system. Signals that work. They do, honest. If we go like that and like that, you see they work. They do if you adjust them properly. They made lots of them, and I need to go back and find my book on signalling to remind myself what all of these different signals mean. You know, their homes and distance and calling ons and various different meanings. And one of the things about setting up model railways, if you put your signals in the wrong place, oh boy, are you going to be told. So I need to read a bit about what signals do and where they go, and appropriate places to put little buildings and things. But they made everything you need to run a small railway. I like these little boxes. It's a Hornby Doubleau pair of boutoirs, Paragolps, Stoot block. I wonder what that all means. Buffer stops. 2 shillings and a penny they were when they were new. I wonder, because we've got another box of those. Oh, I can't read the price on that. It's got a price written on in pencil. But these are absolutely, they didn't come in bubble wrap, by the way. That's just something that people do these days. And these wonderful, wonderful buffer stops. Really wonderful look. Sprung, so that when you run into them a bit quick, they work. Aren't they lovely? Let's pop them just to one side for a moment, because something else, I've managed to sort of get through most of my boxes, and we find these lovely tin plate coaches. I say lovely, I think we can be honest and say that has seen better days, which of course leads us to the debate, do I restore it? Well, you can't, because it's printed on the tin, so restoring is I won't say impossible, but it's very difficult. I have got 3 of these. I'm going to run them as they are, because they are as they were found in someone's loft, barn, shed, whatever. And I think they're quite charming. But later on, Hornby sort of improved the breed. This one has actually got still tin plate, it's still printed, but it's got real windows. And I'm sure someone will tell me more about this, because I think those wheels have been robbed out of something more modern. I don't know enough about Hornby to be an expert on that. Plastic couplings. This is for running on 2-rail track. But there we are. I thought you'd like to see that. What I'd like to see now is, I think someone in the club ought to make another cup of tea, don't you?